Good morning. Today we're at Hamilton Mountain and we're gonna hike up there. It's 3.5 miles up, and then we'll take the longer route down, take Don's Cutoff, and it should be a real interesting hike. So thanks for coming along, and I'll see you along the trail. One thing too, I just want to make sure I share this hint. So if you are coming to Hamilton Mountain, the main parking lot is lower down, and what I do, I come through the campground, and there's a small parking lot here. Fits about 6 or 7 cars, and that's definitely my preferred way to start the hike. It actually makes it a little easier, but it's also a much nicer trail coming in this way. So again, see you along the trail. Trail starts out nice, shaded. Oh, big rabbit. Plenty of wildlife around, so that's good. We won't disturb them, hopefully. But yeah, it is definitely a much nicer way to start the hike. Clean the boots, and we're ready to go. Headley Grove. Fall is coming. You can see the leaves. So it is mid-September. So fall is right around the corner. But a beautiful trail. There is a side trail, 0.2 miles to Little Beacon Rock. I've seen it a few times, but today it's Hamilton Mountain or bust. That's where we're heading. So that's where we're heading, the top of Hamilton Mountain. I am zoomed in, so it does make it look a little closer than it actually is. But we'll get there eventually. Only 3.5 miles. Okay, that's a better view of where we're going. And right here, we meet up with the main trail. So definitely a few hills to get your heart pumping. Now that leveled out, some nice bridges, not a whole lot of water. You haven't seen that much rain. Yeah, it'll be a hard find. You'd have trouble finding the water, so, but you do hear the drop. It is expected to warm up today, so hopefully by the time we hit the top, we'll have the views. It is a little cloudy and overcast right now. Another little bridge. Still not much more water. There's the water. Okay. So even if you're just looking for a short walk, you don't want to climb Hamilton Mountain, this is definitely a nice trail. Come out as far as Hardy Falls, Rodney Falls. It's definitely worth it. Hamilton Mountain, 1.95 miles. But first, we're going to go up to the Pool of the Winds and check out the waterfall. I've done this hike so many times to this part, and I didn't really get into hiking until I was older. I would just consider this a walk, and I used to stand at the sign there that said Hamilton Mountain and say, one day I want to be able to climb up to Hamilton Mountain. And it wasn't until I turned 50 that I finally did it. And since then I must have climbed Hamilton Mountain 10 times. And just for the record, I am 54 now. Check that out. The wind, the Pool of the Winds. Yeah, as I say, this is a destination in itself. So if you just want a 2 mile plus hike, this is the place to come. The Pool of the Winds. It's a destination all on its own, so definitely worth making the mile or so hike. Again, start from above the campground, makes a much easier hike, and it's a hike that most people, if you can walk a mile or two, you should be able to do this hike. Take your time coming up the hill and enjoy. Okay, on to Hamilton Mountain. Okay, let's head down across the bridge and up to the mountain. Again, if you're just going to the Pool of the Winds, it's probably worth it just to come down here, go across the bridge, check out the waterfall. I might put up a photo or a video of this waterfall back in April where there was definitely a lot more water, so it's pretty tame today. Yeah. Okay. And now we spend the next 2 miles climbing. So we do probably 2,000 feet in the next 2 miles. I'll see you along the trail. I had this video from June, and you definitely see the waterfall has a lot more water, so worth checking out. We get our first real views of the Columbia River Gorge. And as you see, Beacon Rock sticking out there. I think that's about 600 feet. And we're probably higher than that already. I believe the peak over there, that is Oregon. And that's Angel's Rest. So let's head back along the trail. As you can see, It's no smooth trail, a lot of tree roots. But right now, it's pretty decent. And then for the next half mile, it's all climbing. And I feel the toughest part of this hike. So I am going to put away the camera and I'll see you along the trail. Okay, after a solid half mile of climbing, we get to the switchbacks, and I think they're a little easier because I don't think they're as steep as what we just climbed, and then there's something about a straight uphill versus switchbacks. I did stop, kind of take a few deep breaths just to be able to talk without having all my panting and asthma breathing. But overall, I think I'm doing pretty good. I'll put the camera on for a bit. I think these switchbacks aren't too steep. So. There are a few steps and areas that we need to get up over, but in general, I can talk and film as I go. You just get glimpses of the gorge, so I'm sure that will change pretty soon here. Yeah, some steep areas for hiking. I know the first time I came here, I was with my son. He doesn't love heights, and we just made it to this part, then decided to turn around. So no shame in that. Just come out, enjoy, and go as far as you can. There is a nice view of Beacon Rock from here, so that's pretty in among the trees. Very nice. This is what happens when people start taking shortcuts. So stay on the trail. Once you get close to the top of the first part, make sure you go out and stop and see the views. It's more than the destination, it's the journey, so make sure you enjoy it. Beautiful, even though we are standing on the edge here. Big drops. There's definitely some big steps on this hike, so make sure you have plenty of energy and just commit, and you can do it. It's a little windy up here, so I apologize for the wind noise. After climbing the face of the mountain, you head inland, probably for about a quarter of a mile. It's one of my favorite parts of the hike, the transition between this part of the mountain and the other. Nice views there, but up here it is even better. So we'll keep the camera on, go up, take a look. Look at that. There's Bonneville Dam. The Columbia River and Oregon in the background. You keep climbing higher and higher. You wonder where the top of the mountain is, but you still have about 500 or 600 feet to go. So just take your time, stop, and enjoy. The trail gets a little rocky. Some climbing is required. But you have your views, enjoy them. In all my time hiking in the Pacific Northwest, I've only ever seen one bear, and he was over there on the edge. No sign of him today. That view gets better and better the higher you go. Towards the top, the switchbacks, they seem to go on forever. You're climbing, you feel you're close, and then you have another switchback. We still probably have another 100 feet of elevation before we make the top, but we're definitely getting there. Again, with each switchback, when it gets out towards the edge, you get a nice view of the Columbia River Gorge. We'll see you at the top. As we approach the top, remember to turn around, see the view. It'll be a while before we see that part of the Columbia River again. This hike, it's definitely the journey, not the destination. Depending on the top, sometimes it's overgrown. It's actually one of these you don't realize you're on top. It's nicely cut back. There's Table Mountain. I climbed that about 3 months ago. Toughest climb you can do. And just because we're on the top, we're only halfway there. A lot more to see on the way down. Okay, we're approaching the saddle. be a beautiful day. So the trail, it's a much larger pathway. I think there's horses allowed on this one. And what I recommend, head to Don's Cutoff. I'm gonna leave the camera on for the length of this hike because it's a pretty cool trail. Definitely probably my favorite part of it. Doesn't have the views, but just a nice forest feel. Look at that for a trail. Okay, I'll see you below. Just a nice part of the trail. I felt it was worth putting back on the camera. There's a little steep coming down, but not too bad. There were steps at one stage. Again, just a beautiful trail to hike through, and 100% recommend adding Don's Cutoff to your route when you're doing Hamilton Mountain. Okay, we get to the end of Don's Cutoff, and then take a left, head down that way. So if you are doing Hamilton, you're not sure which way to go, it's pretty easy. On the way up, go uphill. On the way down, head downhill. So yeah, there is a gravel road. It's a little overgrown right now, but basically underneath me is a gravel road or a gravel track, which leads you to another gravel road and then down to the picnic bench. So I'll see you down there. You know you're going the right way when you see the one and only toilet on the whole trail. So yes, there's some at the trailhead, but in this whole area, once you get hiking, this is the only toilet. Actually, the trail isn't too bad. It's more of a dirt path than a gravel road. So I think originally it was gravel. Then over the years, the forest is slowly reclaiming it. Makes it a much easier path to walk on. And eventually we do come out to the other dirt path. It's a little rocky. Again, it's getting better with the forest slowly taking it over. The perfect picnic table to stop, take a break, and then you head to the left. You can tell this is a horse area, even a place to tie up your horse. But this is foot traffic only, and that's where we're heading. It's a nice walkway. I'm definitely 6 miles in, maybe 7 miles in. I'm like, okay, ready for something different, but still another mile or so to go, probably a little more. But no, the pathway is pretty nice. It's definitely a pathway you can do most of the year. I've hiked this as early as March and as late as the end of October. And in the summer, you're shaded for most of the time. Just a few spots on the front face of the mountain where you are a little exposed, and of course the saddle is definitely a place where you'll be exposed, but overall pretty great trail. Another interesting part of the path, just solid drop down, all loose rock, but there's a nice pathway through, so no worries. Then all loose rock all the ways up. And we finally make it back to the main trail. Most of that map is wiped out, so hard to see, but we've just done the loop back to the main trail, so we should have some views once we get around the corner of the Columbia River Gorge and back to the bridge. So about a mile left, I would say. And one more final look at the gorge. I decided to come down to a different viewpoint just for the finale. So there you see Hamilton in the background, and right next to that is Beacon Rock. And just for size, Beacon Rock looks so much taller, but in reality Hamilton is probably about 5 times taller than Beacon Rock. So appreciate y'all coming along. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. It's definitely a hike anybody can do, at least to the waterfall. So it's probably something that if you live in the Portland area, you should put this on your list to do before the weather turns. Again, thanks for coming along. If you liked it, please drop a like and subscribe for more videos like this.